Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal and welcome to the opposition preview for Arsenal against Newcastle United. Obviously, the last time out, the result we got against Liverpool was not what we expected. We got demolished, but hopefully this week we can bounce back, and I have an absolute legend with me on this preview. It's Kendall Rowan, the Newcastle fan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. It's been a long time since we've done a stream together, so thank you for having me again.
Yeah, last season we played each other so many times. I think we also played each other in the FA Cup or something. There's a time we played twice in like 3 days or something crazy like that. So it's always awesome working with you, and it's always awesome playing against Newcastle, mostly because you usually pick up the win. I'm not sure whether you're going to say the same thing, but we're going to hear what you think about Newcastle and also Arsenal in this stream. Guys, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to follow Kendall. Her link will be in the description and also in the title. So let's get started. Kendall, before the season started, what was the expectation for this season? Did you want a top 12? Did you predict 12? I think I saw you predicting 12 somewhere for Newcastle. Did you want you guys to just stay up, or did you want Bruce to be gone by the start of the season? What was the expectation of the season?
Yeah, I wanted Bruce gone by the start of the season because I kind of wanted to start the season on a better footing, a new positive slate, because the last few years have been specifically awful. Obviously, everyone knows Mike Ashley, things like that it's been bad for a long time. But I just thought, if we're going to be stuck with Mike Ashley, we may as well start on a better footing, really. Obviously, that didn't happen. He did not leave, and we started the season off really badly. We're still without a win now. Before the season started, I think I said I would be happy with 12th, simply because that was where we were last season, which we didn't expect to finish 12th. It was kind of, your boy Joe Willock, who pretty much single-handedly got us out of that situation at one stage. So, and then obviously when we started the season off with Steve Bruce and I saw how the first few games went, I was like, you know what? I'd be happy with 16th. I would literally just be quite happy to stay up this season. And then obviously Takeover happened, which none of us ever expected. Within 48 hours, that was pushed through. We got Eddie Howe as the new manager. We've got rid of Mike Ashley. We've got rid of Lee Charnley. So now I'm kind of still in the same mindset. I'm still very much like, I'll be happy with 17th at this point, because simply our goal this year is to stay up. That is literally it. We are not expecting anything else. We just really need to stay in the league this year, just simply because our plan will be off rail by like 2 years if we go down. So yeah, just to stay up. So I'll be very happy with 17th at this point, which is madness. But I think that we've got to be realistic, because as I said, we are still without a win in the league now. So
yeah, I remember last season when we played you guys in January, you were crying about Newcastle getting relegated, you not having a job for this season. Don't worry, you still have a job. Newcastle is still in the Premier League. So the takeover, Newcastle takeover, what did you make of it? Obviously, you've pointed out it happened within 48 hours, but how happy were you when it went through?
I was super happy, and I think everyone got a little bit...
Sorry about that, no problem. Go on.
Sorry. Yeah, I was extremely happy about it. I think everyone got a little bit mixed up because simply, there was obviously human rights issues surrounding Saudi Arabia and things like that. And I feel now we shouldn't just ignore that. We have to accept it and accept that that'll be a criticism, and use our voices to speak out about certain things surrounding that. However, I think for most of us, it was simply Mike Ashley's gone, and that was where it was. We have suffered a long time as a club, and been extremely, downtrodden as a club. We have not gone anywhere. He's not invested any money significantly to reach, progress every season. And obviously after Rafa Benitez left, we were all just really quite sick at that point. I think it was like the last straw. So yeah, super happy about the takeover, and like it's just a little bit of hope, and that's just more than any of us can ever wish for as Newcastle fans, because that's just something we have not had for so long.
So important for you guys to stay up. Let's just imagine you go to the league, you get relegated. Do you expect to bounce back right immediately, like the same season? Would you expect that?
Yes, I would, because the last 2 times we've gone down, we have.
Awesome.
So now the situation's completely different. So if we can bounce back in those times when we weren't as good and there wasn't money being invested, then we should really be able to bounce back. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we went down, like, just simply because I know they would do everything in their power to make us get back up. But I really don't want any more delay on this sort of environment at the moment, because we've just had nothing for the last few years. So I really would like to just start off on a positive footing. And they obviously I know that they would look at where we were on the table when the takeover happened, because obviously this has been going on for the last 2 years now. So it was a little bit different. There's a huge job at hand right now. We are bottom of the table. So there is a huge job at hand. But if we start getting results, I think we won't be as worried. But obviously I am still extremely concerned that we are the only club in England right now, professional football club, not to have a win. Out of 92 clubs. So like, for me, that's really not good.
That's so crazy. The kid is obviously also excited by the Newcastle takeover. I can't blame her. So Steve Bruce, you were quite vocal about Steve Bruce leaving you guys last season, and look at his face. He was super stressed. It looks like he was actually looking at you doing one of the streams when you're ranting about him. So it was obvious that he was going to leave after the takeover. So what did you rate his time at Newcastle out of 10?
I would give him a 2. And that might seem harsh, right? That might seem harsh. But literally, no, you know what? I'll give him a 3, because we got to 2 quarterfinals in the Cups in consecutive seasons. We got 12th last season, which was unexpected. So I will give him that. That's fine. The rest of the time was an absolute shambles from top to bottom. He called out fans several times in press conferences. He banned the media from press conferences because he didn't like that they were calling him out on his behaviour. The results were awful. The football was awful. He invested. I know it wasn't him that directly chose to sign in single-handedly, but he had over £120 million worth of investment in 2 years, which is more than any manager in that short period of time has had, and didn't improve us. So I just think it was just a bad fit all around. He probably should have never ever been offered the job, really. But he was 12th choice at the time. Yeah, I think I probably said this last season. He was 12th choice, and that's not an exaggeration. He literally was 12th choice. So yeah, it just wasn't a good fit, and it's just I'm glad that we can just move on from it now, because I think he needed it as just a person. Because as you say, I was extremely stressed. Every interview he ever did, he was just stressed out and like really reactive and offensive all the time. So yeah, I'm just glad to get rid of him now, to be honest, and hopefully, Eddie Howe can come in and do something with this team.
His history about being former Sunderland manager, being former Villa, Birmingham manager, all of them being brought up. People are giving up on him, but you've mentioned results. Speaking of results so far this season, your results will be scrolling down the bottom. Obviously, you've won 0 games. You've drawn 6, and you'll have 6. You've scored 15 goals. Most of your games have been really entertaining, like 4-2s, 3-3s. 27 goals conceded. The first game of the season, you did lose to West Ham 4-2. West Ham have been on top form. Then you went to Aston Villa. They beat you guys 2-0. You drew with Southampton. If I'm not wrong, you considered a last-minute penalty.
Yeah,
United, obviously, that was very unlucky. Obviously, Ronaldo's debut, kind of like us with Lukaku making his debut against us. Newcastle 1-1 against Leeds, and then another 1-1 draw against Watford. He then lost to Wolves 2-1. Then that crazy game against Tottenham. That was the first game after the takeover, 3-2. Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 1, Newcastle 0, Chelsea 3, and then a couple of more draws against Brighton and also against Brentford 3-3. So from those results, I usually ask what's your best results. So I'm going to ask you that first, because obviously there's a couple of draws there. What has been your best result so far, or best performance so far?
I think the best performance was at the weekend against Brentford. By long chalk, by like literally a long chalk. I've not seen us have that desire and fight as a team for about 4 years. It was just a lot better to see. We were actually attacking. We had one of the most touches in the opposition box at the weekend out of every team in the league, which is something that we would not have normally done. because we always play very low block, very defensive football. So yeah, for me this season, that performance at the weekend was the best. And if I'm honest, we've really not had that many good performances. Against Manchester United, I was a little bit annoyed at the result because it really was like a flat to deceive result for Manchester United. Because especially in the first half, I don't think we, were that bad that game. Just second half, we went to shreds, which unfortunately has been a little bit reflective of the training regime that they've had at the club. Because Steve Bruce only likes to train 2 days a week. And as a professional football club, that it's just you can't do that. You just can't. And it showed in the games. So yeah, that performance at the weekend, if we can build on that and we can continue from that, then I will be more than happy. And that's all we've ever asked for. It's just defensively, we are incredibly bad, like so terribly bad. I cannot explain. There is no reason now why Dubravka should not be in the squad anymore, because Darlow has had an absolute nightmare season. So hopefully just a couple of changes, a couple of tweaks here and there over the next few games, because these games now are hugely important. We've got you guys, I'm not expecting anything from that, Burnley and Norwich. So we really need to win 2 of the next 3 games.
Yeah, Dal, especially that mistake against your former player, Tony. I think losing the lead after 1 minute, maybe you would have had a chance to take a 2-0 lead or something. That was very costly. What about your worst result? What's been your worst result or worst performance so far this season?
Worst result. Wolves, because I know that seems a little bit crazy because obviously we didn't lose, but that performance was like embarrassing. I can't even begin to explain how bad that performance was. It was just like, oh no, we did lose that game. Anyway, so yeah, it can go on that. I thought we drew, but we didn't. We did lose. Yeah. I was thinking about Watford, but no, the Wolves performance was embarrassing. I remember everyone, because this was obviously before the takeover, and I remember everyone was saying they were coming back on the bus home from Wolves, just like this. We cannot cope with this any longer. Fans who were like 65 years old were like, they're literally never going to watch a game again this season if that was going to be the way it was. So yeah, definitely the Wolves result. There was just nothing even good to pull from that performance whatsoever.
Yeah, you've had a couple of good draws, like against Brighton and Palace, teams that we've also drawn against. Crystal Palace have been magnificent so far, same with Brighton. You've mentioned your fixtures, so I'll have your fixtures on screen right now. And as you said, you have Arsenal away from home, and then Norwich and Burnley at home, games you really have to win, especially those 2. Leicester away, they haven't been that great so far this season. And also Liverpool away now. I've witnessed it recently, Kendall. Liverpool is a tough place to go. Like, we got smashed up there. So from those 5 games, 15 points available, how many will you be hoping for in this run? 6. If I'm going to be realistic, we need to win. We need to win against Norwich at home, and we need to win against Burnley at home. That for me is realistic. Other than that, I just can't see us getting a result. I mean, we drew against Liverpool last year, but they're just on a different. They're just on a different level this year. We never beat you guys. It's very rare, extremely rare we beat you guys. And to be fair, the last away game that I was at in the Premier League was at the Emirates last year, and you beat us 4-0. And I think Ozil scored in that game. So in Leicester again, they haven't had a good season, but they're just better than us. And that's just all I can really say at this point. So yeah, 6 points from 15, I think. But I'll be happy with that. It just depends what the teams around us do, because we're already 5 points adrift from safety. So if you lose one of the games between Norwich and the Burnley game, would your confidence go slightly? Would your confidence be damaged a bit more if you lost to Norwich? Let's say
100%. It's not even like want. It's actually a necessity that we win them 2 games, or at least 2 games out of those, because we just cannot afford to drift anymore. And we've got the worst Christmas run on record. We've got Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool.
Merry Christmas. Into December. Merry Christmas, Kendall.
I know.
Merry Christmas.
We've literally got the worst run in December of probably any team in the league. So we cannot afford to give up any more points than possible. We really need to win those 2 games.
Absolutely. So 6 points. Those 2 games you have to win. Obviously, Brentford was also in this run where you needed to win, but at least you get a point. You didn't lose. So those are Newcastle fixtures: Arsenal, Norwich, Burnley, Leicester, and Liverpool. Leicester have not been on good form. Burnley have picked it up. Norwich have won 2 games in a row. Probably have really damaged Newcastle with those 2 wins, surprise wins, I'd say. And Liverpool is a tough fixture, tougher than the Arsenal for sure. So. The next thing I wanted to ask you about is obviously your new manager. We've talked about Steve Bruce, but next up, it's your new manager. When I saw you was going to miss your game the other day, I was like, this is so Newcastle. This is so
Isn't
Newcastle.
Isn't it just us? Like, no other club on earth would do that, honestly.
I even felt so bad for you guys. I was like, oh, no. So it's obviously coming. Will you be at the game this weekend? Because it's the early kickoff on Saturday.
No, I'm not at the Arsenal game this weekend. Obviously, I'm at every home game in my season ticket, but no, I'm not going away this weekend.
What about Eddie Howe? Will he be there?
Oh, sorry, Eddie Howe, yes. I don't know about Eddie Howe if he will be there, because depending on how long you have to isolate, I think it's 10 days. I don't know from what point he got it, or if he tests negative then he'll be allowed to go. I really don't know. They haven't updated us on that. But he did only find out on Friday, so that will only be 8 days since. So I'm probably not expecting him to be at Arsenal, but he might be at Norwich, which I kind of don't mind, just simply because then his first game will be at home, realistically, when he's back. So I wouldn't mind it, but if he could be on the touchline for Arsenal, that would be incredible.
Do you think being on the touchline makes a huge difference? Like, if he's there on the touchline, makes a huge difference. Do you think?
Yeah, I just think it gives a boost.
Changed?
Yeah, it just gives a boost, and his tactical changes are probably. I know Jason Tyndall's, who is now a new assistant coach. I know he's worked with Eddie Howe for several years now, like probably a decade. So I know that he will probably know what's going on, but just tactically, and if Eddie Howe was looking at the game and seeing it change, and maybe the changes he was going to make aren't right, I think that'll be better. The fans seeing him on the touchline will be incredible. So yeah, I think it definitely does give a little bit of a boost.
Were you keen on getting Eddie Howe, or did you prefer any other manager?
I wanted Emery when that whole talk happened. I was quite aware that we weren't going to get like Conte, for example, or anyone at that point. Just because of the position we're in, we're not guaranteed to be staying up the season, as you said earlier. So I knew it wasn't going to be a huge name. So then when the Emery talks came out, I was in shock, because I was like, I can't even believe that would be a name that was going to be in the mix, because realistically I think he's an extremely underrated manager. I think what he's done as a manager at still a relatively young age is amazing. So I was really happy with Emery. I wanted Emery, and then obviously that didn't happen. He had agreed in principle to come, and he'd made a verbal agreement, and then saw the whole nightmare unfold on the night of his Champions League game, and I don't blame him for turning around then and saying, this is probably not the job for me. But Eddie Howe, I'm happy with. I think for where we are as a club right now, he's perfect. He has got experience of managing several of our players in likes of Matt Ritchie, Fraser, Callum Wilson. He has managed lower league teams and made them better, which is what we need right now. He plays nice free-flowing attacking football, which is something we've not seen as Newcastle for ages. The only little slight concern that I have is defensively. Historically, he's not an incredible defensive coach, which is where we are really, really bad. So that's a little bit of a worry at the moment, but hopefully we'll see maybe over the next few games what he's going to do to fix that a little bit.
Yeah, Bournemouth Bournemouth were really good when he was there. Like, they stayed up for so many seasons, and they had so many cracking games, 4-3s, 3-3s also against us. So I think he'll do well. I think he'll do well, especially in being good friends with some of the players already. Speaking of those players, there's 5 players I wanted to ask you about, 4 or 5 of them. I'll start with Matt Ritchie, former Bournemouth player. What is Matt Ritchie? Is he a left back? I know he plays as a left back, but he used to be a left winger. He used to be a right winger. What's his favorite position? What's his best position for you guys?
So at the moment he's been playing as a wing back. I don't like him as a left back because defensively he's very poor. So wing back is like the furthest I will push him, really. Paul Dummett's injured, and he's injured long term. So I don't know when he's back. But other than that, we only really have Jamal Lewis, who hasn't had a lot of game time, so it will be a little bit naive to push Jamal Lewis instantly back in there. I understand that he would probably, I would be putting him in there right now personally for me, because I just think Matt Ritchie, a lot of people were saying he was finished basically over the last few weeks, but if anyone can revive him, it'll be Eddie Howe. So I'll just stick with him for now and see where he's at.
Okay, so he's in the starting lineup for you 100%?
Say that again?
He's in the starting lineup for you 100%?
Maybe not 100%, but probably at the moment about 90%. I would like to see Jamal Lewis. Whether or not that's the right choice is a different story.
Okay, the next one is Ryan Fraser, who's also a former Bournemouth player, playing for you guys last season. Obviously, we didn't see him that much, unfortunately. What do you make of him last season? Is it because of Steve Bruce, or is it because of himself not performing, or was it last season?
It was a mixture of both. So I really didn't want to sign him simply because when he left Bournemouth, he gave up for 6 months, said he wasn't playing for 6 months because he was basically out of contract in the summer, didn't want to get injured and wanted to move. And that's not someone you need at a club like Newcastle, who will be fighting their own battles. You don't need that someone like that. So for me, I didn't want him. Initially, I looked past it because I think that he is a great player, and him and Callum Wilson together were unbelievable for Bournemouth. So we looked past it, and then really annoyingly, he kept being injured all the time. I know you can't blame him specifically for injuries, but the point was he was injured for Newcastle and fit for Scotland, and that's what really got to me, because, and a lot of us, because we were just like, why don't you want to play for us when we need you, but you want to go and play for Scotland and you're fit to play for Scotland? So that was a little bit annoying, and he didn't really light anything up last season. The games that he came on, he wasn't that great, and he was quite poor. When he came on at the weekend, though, he looked fresh. He looked really like intent to play. He had the desire. That ball he put in for St. Maximin was really good. So for me, you know, if again, like Matt Ritchie, if anyone is going to bring the best out of Ryan Fraser, who knows him well, it will be Eddie Howe. So for me, it can only be a good thing.
Okay, and speaking of Saint Maximin, he is the third player. He's done so well so far this season, obviously. As you can see him there, what a celebration by the way. What an amazing celebration. He scored that goal to equalize. What do you make of him? Is he your best Newcastle player? So I know your best Newcastle player. I'm going to talk about him next, but this guy, is he at the top of your list as well?
Oh, absolutely. We are just nothing. It sounds awful, but like nothing without him, because he's the only, at the moment, and maybe it'll change over the next few games, obviously with the influence of Eddie Howe. But we need him. We need that creativity. We need that burst of power. We need that intensity, and that is all. We only get it from him. Okay,
and Saint Maximin is obviously French. For those of you who don't know, does he deserve a call up anytime soon?
Probably not. And I know that sounds, people will be like, oh, I can't believe you said that, but I just think the France team is so incredible. They are an amazing squad, and right now I don't think he fits in there for me. In the future, if he joins a bigger team, not a bigger team, but a better level team, or if he stays with us and we suddenly become better, then maybe. But as of this now, I don't think so.
Okay, you've mentioned Joe Willock a couple of times already in this video. He's the fourth player. Last season, if the Ballon d'Or was being given every single month, Joe Willock would have been a two-time Ballon d'Or winner last season, let's be honest. He would have won it in March and April. So what have you made of him this season? 11 appearances, 0 goals so far. Has he lived up to expectation, or are you still patient with him?
I still want to be patient with him because there's been so much change, you know, over the last few months for him. And everyone was saying it was a purple patch, and I kept defending him. And I was like, you know, this consistency that he had last season, it can't be a purple patch. It seems to be that way at the moment. But again, there's been so much changes. The team's changed loads. He's been injured this season as well. So I am still patient with him. And I know he wouldn't be as good as he was last season if there wasn't that player in there. So for me, I've still got to be patient. I still think he's amazing. He's still only 21 years old, so he's really, really young, and he can still light it up again. And now, hopefully, with this attacking football that we're probably going to play under Eddie Howe, he might start to find his role a little bit more, because he has had to defend more than his attack this season.
Okay, and the last player is your captain, Jamal Lascelles. Scored a wonderful header the other day. Last season, you guys did not like his performances. You're complaining about his captaincy. What about this season? Has he improved?
No, absolutely not. He's gone backwards.
Again,
I've said a few times, and a lot of other fans have agreed with me, that if we go down, it'll be because of our defence. They are so poor. They just have no self-awareness. Like, his positional awareness is embarrassing. He's given away 2 penalties this season. As a leader and a captain, even his voice isn't there anymore. There's bigger voices on the pitch now than him. And for me, I just don't think he's a Premier League level defender at the highest standard he can be. I think he's really good Championship defender, just simply because the Championships are like a different level. It's just completely different to the Premier League, and I just don't think he can handle the attackers in the Premier League right now, and the way that attackers in the Premier League go forward now. I just don't think he can handle it. He's not the only one. As I mentioned earlier, Caldalo is extremely poor as a goalkeeper at the moment. He's just really off form. Kieran Clark has been really off form as well. But for me, we actually really need 2 centre-backs in January, 2 decent centre-backs, because we don't even have like any like bench backup centre-backs who we trust to come in, because there's only Emil Kraft, who is primarily a right-back, and Fernandez, who just fell off the face of the earth, which is so weird to me. He's not even in the squad on match days anymore. And for me, him and Shah are our 2 best centre-backs. So I don't really know what's happening there. But Jamal Lascelles, I think the jury's out on Jamal Lascelles. I think his time's come at Newcastle now, and I just think he's probably not going to reach any higher standard.
When you say you need centre-backs, do you mean splash the cash that you have nowadays for the centre-backs, or are you okay with the 50 million, 10 million defenders?
I would be looking at Premier League quality, not superstars. So obviously the likes of Tarkowski's been mentioned, which I'll be over the moon with Tarkowski. I would love Connor Cody as well, because I think they're Premier League proven. They know what it's like to fight the battles that we're going to be in, and they're good. And that's just where I'm at. I don't want to be going and thinking, let's go and spend like 70 million on a defender. That's just silly, because if you go and sign, just say, like, for example, off the top of my head, because we're playing, if we went and signed like Jimenez from Atleti, for example, there's 120 million. You don't even know what he's going to be like in the Premier League. He might be awful. So that is like such a risk. So for me, I'll be taking, if we can get loans, even better, because then we don't know where we're going to be at in the summer. So if we can take advantage of the loan market, get a couple of Premier League proven defenders in, I'll be extremely happy with that.
Awesome. So as you can see, we were at St. James's Park behind us. That's Kendall's ground, but the game will be played at the Emirates, so we have to switch there. We have to switch to the Emirates Stadium, where we are going to be playing against Newcastle United. So let's go into the actual game. So Arsenal against Newcastle this week. What would be your starting lineup for this weekend?
So at the weekend we played 3-4-3, and it kind of worked quite well. It looked to be a 3-4-3 at the weekend. Dubravka will be immediately back in there for me now. There's just no excuse anymore for him not to be in there. Dubravka, personally, if we're going to play 3, obviously we are really limited with choice, because again, like as I've said, we only really have Lascelles, Clark, Fernandez and Shah. But to be honest with you, I'll be putting both Fernandez and Shah in there. I just don't think Lascelles and Clark are good enough. But then you can't really drop your captain, unfortunately. So Lascelles will probably be in there just simply for that reason. I wouldn't be putting him in there for any other reason. And it also seems a shame to drop Manquillo, because I think he's probably been one of our better players this season. But if we don't play 4 at the back, he's not going to get in there, because he's not really a good wing back. So he's just not going to get in there. The middle for me would have to be... See, I miss Hayden, but the middle of Willock, Shelvey, Murphy and Ritchie at the weekend worked quite well, attacking wise. I don't know how you guys are going to set up, so I'm not sure if that would even like work in your favour or our favour really, but I would just stick with that, because I think Shelvey had a really, really good game at the weekend. And then the front 3 would just keep it the same, St. Maximin, Joelinton and Callum Wilson.
Awesome. So that's Kendall's starting lineup for Newcastle for the weekend. We'll probably go with the 4-2-3-1. That's the formation we'll use. I think Lacazette will be dropped for this one, and he'll bring back Odegaard. So I think we'll play the number 10 on the pitch. Thoughts on Arsenal, Kendall? What have you made of Arsenal this season? So you said you're bottom of the table. We've been there. It's a dark, dark place. It's a very, very dark place. We are there for more than like 3 weeks. And what have you made of Arsenal this season? Did you expect us to start the way we did? Did you expect us to be fifth at the moment? Do you expect us to drop?
At the beginning of the season, when you were all worried about stuff, and I had loads of like my friends who were Arsenal fans, like, oh, we're going to get relegated, like we're in a relegation battle. I was like, guys, calm down, right? For a start, you are Arsenal Football Club. You have got every single tool in your toolbox to not be in the situation that you're in right now. I was like, just give it time. There's been several changes. If it doesn't go right this season, I will understand Arteta out. That was what I said at the beginning of the season. I said, just calm down. You've got time to sort it out. Lo and behold, he has sorted it out. And you look really strong, specifically defensively, which is strange because everyone was like, oh, Ben White is so bad. He's like the seaside Harry Maguire, like whatever. And he's coming to his own. Gabriel's been on great form this season as well. Ramsdale, who was like the banter signing of the summer, everyone's like, why are you paying 35 million for Ramsdale, who's literally just got relegated, blah blah blah, has come in and has honestly elite level performances nearly every week. He's just been so good. And when you have that guy in goal, if you look at all the top teams in the world, I mean, I'm not saying Ramsdale's on their level yet, but if you look at all top teams in the world and any team that have ever done well, they always have an extremely good goalkeeper, like the likes of De Gea for Man United when he was on his best form, Alisson, Ederson, Neuer, Oblak, you know, like things like that. And as I say, I'm not putting him on their level, but when you have that guy in goal who you can rely on, and that solid goalkeeper, it just makes a world of difference because you are not concerned about having to do other jobs than your own.
Awesome. Go ahead.
So I think for me, that has made all the difference. And at the moment, you guys look really, really good.
Hopefully we can finish in the top 5. Do you expect us to finish in the top 5, or do you think the likes of United will pick it up?
It depends on what United decide to do.
The manager
situation. I don't think it's impossible with the way that you guys play at the moment. I don't think it's impossible. I think top 6 is very easily reached. And to be honest, depending on how the next few games go for you guys, I would probably, if I was you, would be disappointed if you didn't hit top 6 this season.
So, Kendall, if you're asked to take 2 players from Arsenal right now that would change Newcastle's form and basically your tradition and your everything about Newcastle right now, who would you take from Arsenal? 2 players. Tell the whole entire world, tell the Arsenal fans watching this, who would you take? Who would you take?
That's quite a hard one because normally I'll be able to pick like specifically who I would want. For me, it would be Emile Smith-Rowe and probably Bukayo Saka. I think they would be the 2 that I would take. Obviously, Saka can play in a couple of positions. Smith-Rowe's just been on exceptional form. So yeah, I think it would be them 2 for me. If not those 2, I would probably I don't know who else I would take really. There's a couple of players that I quite like for Arsenal.
I was imagining you'd say a defender because you say
that would be where I was thinking as well, a defender. But yeah, those 2 stand out immediately for me.
Awesome. So Saka and Smith-Rowe, you're not the first person to say that. I think I did one with Liverpool fans last week, and they said they would take Saka and Smith-Rowe. That's how good they've been. But match prediction, Kendall. Will Newcastle pick up their first win this week, or the 7th draw of the season? Your form is actually crazy. I think you have 3 draws and 3 losses at home and 3 draws and 3 losses away from home. It's like very, very equal. So what do you think will happen this weekend?
I never like predicting us to lose because I always think that it sends bad vibes. But I am quite realistic. We never ever win at the Emirates. Like I couldn't even tell you the last time we did.
Andy
maybe
Carroll.
you know more than me. Maybe, oh yes. Forgot about
2010, that was a long time ago.
But usually, as I say, so that's like even ages since that. So we'd never ever win at the Emirates. So yeah, can't see us winning. If it's a draw, I'll be over the moon. But probably, I'd say 2-1 Arsenal. I know that's awful because I don't, as I've just said, I don't like predicting us to lose, but I also don't want to look delusional. So like, I just can't see us getting our first win against you guys. So yeah, 2-1 Arsenal, I think.
Who will be scoring the goals? Will Callum Wilson get one for you?
Yeah, I think Callum Wilson will score for us. And for you guys, I don't know, because you've kind of had a little bit of a mixture of goal scorers as of late. So
yeah,
you can guess who will score for you guys.
And I'm going to say Aubameyang first, because last season he played you 3 times and he scored in all 3 of those games. Twice at home and once at St. James's Park. So he scored 4 last time. So I'm going to go for Aubameyang to get 1. And I'm going to probably go for Saka to score this weekend. So those are the predictions. I'm going to go for 2-0. I'm going to go for 2-0. I'm going to go for 4-0, 5-0. We usually don't get that many goals anyway. Yeah. So Kendall, thank you very much for coming on. Where can they follow you? No, thank you for having me as always. You can just follow me. It's just Kendall Rowan on everything socials, which is just here. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that. I'm doing like various different things. If you want to follow me on Twitch as well, that would really help, because from the beginning of December I'm going to be streaming over on Twitch a lot more. So yeah, just follow me if you like. It's not all Newcastle content, obviously, as you can see, is athletic content as well, and just a mixture of a lot of things. But yeah, thank you for having me again. She's getting ready for the Atletico Madrid game. Let's hope they get a win against AC Milan. Very important as well. We need it. Very definitely need it. So Kendall is a legend. I know she said follow her if you want. No, you make sure to follow her, subscribe to her channel as well. She's a legend. You can watch on Sky Sports News a couple of times. You can watch on Premier League previews a couple of times. She's an absolute legend. So thank you, Kendall. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch up.